Hey, Catherine Matthijs-Zundel here with Civility Partners. We like to say here at Civility Partners that we have the best harassment prevention training, so we put this together for you so you can take a look. Enjoy! Before we jump into really talking about harassment prevention, I want to give you what I call my negative behavior spectrum. So while it is important that the law put boxes around certain types of behavior like sexual harassment or abusive conduct or discrimination, I want to give you a more realistic view of how all of these negative behaviors work together. So at the low end of my negative behavior spectrum is incivility, unprofessionalism, and microaggressions. What are some examples of incivility and unprofessionalism? Go ahead and type that into the Q&A box. All right, so now that we understand incivility, unprofessionalism, and microaggressions, let's talk about how this behavior can escalate into workplace bullying, or what California law calls abusive conduct. So the thing is that abusive conduct rarely starts off as somebody gets hired in and they start bullying right away, right? It starts off as incivility and unprofessionalism. And over time, when people are given implicit permission to engage in that type of behavior, then the behavior escalates. It gets more and more frequent and more aggressive, and it escalates into abusive conduct. All right, so now that we've talked about what kind of damage abusive conduct can cause in individual witnesses and the organization, I have another question for you. Is abusive conduct malicious? In other words, is abusive conduct intentional, or is it about a gross disregard for human behavior? Go ahead and type your answers into the Q&A box. All right, so thanks for your answers on this. Now, as you know, I am somebody who specializes in coaching people who engage in abusive conduct, so I have my own opinions on this. Now, California law does put malicious in the definition of abusive conduct. However, this is one place where I disagree with the law. In my experience, people who engage in abusive conduct are focused on uber competence and getting the job done, and when people don't participate in getting the job done, or the person engaging in abusive conduct believes that somebody is sort of incompetent, that's when they lash out and engage in abusive conduct. So is it malicious? Are they intending to harm? Not necessarily. I think they're intending to get the job done. They just don't recognize the impact of their behavior because they are socially and emotionally unintelligent. All right, managers, thanks for sticking around with me for this extra hour. Now, I want to talk to you about true harassment prevention. After all, that's the name of the training, right? Harassment prevention. So if we're going to talk about harassment prevention, that means we have to talk about risk factors, things happening in your organization that can actually facilitate harassment or bullying. So take a look on the left side of the screen there. For example, researchers have found that in workforces where the majority is the age 25 or below, that the organization is at risk for more harassment. When an organization doesn't have a whole lot of diversity, then the organization is at risk for harassment. So take a look at these 10 risk factors on your screen. And by the way, there's millions more. These are just the 10 that I picked. Take a look at these risk factors. Do any of these resonate with you? Is there something going on in your organization that creates a risk for harassment or bullying? And then the second question is, how do you minimize the risk so that you're ultimately minimizing harassment or bullying? So let's talk about true prevention here. Go ahead and type in the Q&A box. Where do you see some items that resonate with you? And the second question, how can you go about minimizing that risk in order to ultimately prevent harassment or bullying? Ready, go. Thanks so much for checking us out. Give us a call, shoot us an email, and let's get your training booked.